Hello and welcome. I'm your host, author Ryan M. Oliver, and this is the Mighty Books Podcast. This episode's featured author is Edna Castillo. Edna is a best-selling author, speaker, transformational wellness and healing coach, and breast cancer thriver. As the founder and CEO of Reality Dreams Life Coaching, LLC, she believes that life speaks to us, and through our intuitive genius, discover how to navigate life's challenges to thrive no matter the circumstance, diagnosis, situations, or conditions we face. In our most harrowing moments, seeds of greatness are birthed to create richer, fuller lives. Edna received her undergraduate degree in business and is a trained life mastery consultant from Merrill Morrissey's Brave Thinking Institute. She lives in the San Francisco Bay Area with her husband and 2 dogs. Her favorite things to do are cooking for friends and family, walking and hiking in nature, and receiving inspired thoughts by connecting with her intuitive genius. Welcome back to another episode of the Mighty Books Podcast. Today with me, we have Edna Castillo. Edna, how are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. So today we're talking about your book. Can you tell us the title of your book?
Living Your Intuitive Genius, How to Tap into Your Soul to Heal Your Body, Mind, and Spirit.
Oh my goodness, quite the title, quite the title. So what is it about?
So my book was written while I was undergoing breast cancer.
Oh my goodness.
And when I was diagnosed, one of the things I do is I try to get away from the illness, and I started journaling. And that inspired me to actually write the book. And the book it speaks about how life speaks to you through the experiences that you're living. So with me, living through cancer, what is life telling me? So rather than staying in the victim of the cancer, trying to learn from it and seeing what can become of me after the journey. So as I document in the book different situations that I reflected on, where the circumstances, the conditions, the situations that were happening to me, they actually were there to grow me. They were there for the higher awareness, or for the next step of my life, for the next evolution of who I was to be. So the book is about not only me, but also instances of where I witnessed people's journeys, and how you speak to life as well, right? As life is speaking to you, how you react, how you respond is in the direction of how your life will go. So if you're taking in life as a victim, that's the rabbit hole that you're going to go into of the negativity, and then just the unfortunate events that may happen in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at yourself as a victor and just overcoming, the road will be more open, more opportunities, more welcoming possibilities will come to you. It's really about growth. And at the very end of each chapter, I have practices. One of the reasons it's titled Living Your Intuitive Genius is because I believe that we have a compass inside of us. That's our intuition, right? Our higher awareness. So the more we get in tune with our higher awareness, the more we will know how to navigate life. And at the end of each chapter, I have practices that will get you in tune with that awareness, your intuitive genius.
Awesome. So it's really speaking to your instinct and to what you already know, but I guess where you're learning, you're teaching your conscious, I guess, your conscious self about what you already know, hopefully already know.
Exactly.
And learning from
the
others.
Answers are within us.
So you're fighting cancer, you're in the middle of battling cancer. What made you just go, I'm going to write this book now? You said just after journaling that kind of just developed into it, or did you kind of trip into writing a book? Like hey, I can make this into something people could really utilize.
Right. I was talking to my coach, my life coach, and she says, well, what are you going to do with your journals, Edna? And something said, I'm going to write a book. Well, there's a part of me that said, what in the world did you just say? Because once you say something, or at least that's the way I'm built, if I say I'm going to do something, I have to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean I have to do it, because I get to do it, right? And so I'm like, okay, that came out of me. I'm taught, right? I believe that intuition, and I have a higher source that's speaking to me. So let me move forward and actually start writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found in that practice is that it got me away from cancer. in its own way, I think that spirit, intuition, whatever you want to call it, was calling me to concentrate on something different other than the illness, and having that be one of the tools to overcoming cancer.
I've heard a term, you go where you look, and it sounds like you went when you were thinking about healing and you were thinking about life lessons and just growing as a person. It sounded like your body followed where your mind was going.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
Be just, if
amazing.
you're willing to listen and act upon what you hear, you're definitely in the right direction. It's part
Mhm.
of the compass that I spoke about before.
Now, if you don't mind my asking, how long now have you been cancer free?
I have been cancer free for a year and a half,
Awesome.
and my cancer
Congratulations.
journey was only 8 months, 10 months. From beginning to end, the treatments was with 10 months. And I believe one of the reasons it was that short is because I practiced principles like the ones I'm speaking about that really just sped up the process. I don't know if you've ever experienced that when you're resisting something, it kind of just stretches out, right? Because I
Mhm.
mean, it's kind of like you being pulled into what you need to do.
Yeah,
But because I just surrendered into the experience, and surrendering doesn't mean I gave up. It just means I accepted. Okay, it is what it is. Let me see what I can do with it.
right.
Then the experience became a lot easier to contend with. And I was a different type of patient than most patients. The cancer that I had was a very aggressive type of cancer. I had had a mammogram in March of 2020. And by May, I had already developed a 17 millimeter a lump. It was that quickly that it was moving through my system. And by the time I got my second mammogram, it had already gone to my lymph nodes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So when the doctor and I talked, she basically said, you need to go on disability yesterday. So I had to drop everything and go into chemotherapy right away.
When you heard all that, did your mind go obviously to the negative?
Oh yeah.
What pulled you into the positive to kind of say, no, I'm not going to let negativity overtake me? Yes, it's not a good diagnosis, but I can change this. What made you get on the positive train?
So what happened with me is that I kind of go outside myself and look at the situation rather than experience the situation as I'm in it at times, especially in life-threatening situations as that one, right?
Right.
And so my sense was, okay, I wonder, well, number one, I wonder how I got it. I wonder why I got it. I wonder what's this going to lead to, all of these questions, fear, out of control, all of this. But then I sat with myself and I'm like, okay, this is happening for a reason. And the number one question I ask myself is, who am I going to be in this journey?
Mm-hmm.
Who do I want people to remember me by? However it's going to end, because I had no idea how it was going to end. Do I want my kids to remember me as somebody that was always asking them, oh gosh, help me this and help me that, or did that? I want them to remember me by me doing my own, me going and facing this, because they're going to learn from how I experienced this.
Yeah.
It was that piece of who do I want to be that really helped me flip the switch from being a victim to actually being a victor.
Yeah. Yeah. Being thriving versus just surviving a situation.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Wow. Well, you are an inspiration. I'll say that right now. Anyone who's gone through cancer and has battled it and has come out more positive, I mean, like I said, that's growth. That's amazing growth. So the fact that you wrote this book and you can use it as a tool to help others go through healing is monumental, I would say. So congrats to you
Thank
for
you.
starters, and hopefully years and years and years and years of health along the way too. Now, so other than being an author, what else do you do?
So I am also a life coach, and that's what I do.
Fabulous.
I spent a good 30 years in financial services in the business world.
Okay.
And in the last 5 years of that, I was listening to this little voice in my head saying, is that all there is in life? Is that all there is in life? And there was a part of me that kept saying, don't listen to that side because you're comfortable. You like your job. And I did. I love where I worked. I love who I work with. I love what I did. I love all my employees. And I didn't want to leave my comfort zone and discover this, right? Because what is this going to lead to?
Right.
But yet that's my intuition saying, hey, there's another path that you have to follow. So the organization that I work for went through a reorganization. They moved to North Carolina and they laid me off. So I'm
Oh,
like, oh, okay. So now you're making me discover what it is that I'm supposed to do. So
yeah.
that's what got me into a journey of discovery of, okay, what is this next step?
Yeah.
Initially, I thought it was going to be, doing nonprofit, going through my logical sense. But eventually I discovered life coaching, which I didn't even know the profession existed. But yet I had been doing it all my life. I had always attracted people that told me what was going with them or through them.
Yeah.
And through my experiences, I was able to help them. And it always made me really, really happy to help people and inspire people.
Awesome.
So I'm a coach. When I found the profession, I enrolled into the Brave Thinking Institute coaching program, which is, I was certified. And then about 8 months or so, that's when I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh my goodness.
I love to look at the chronology of how things occur because I don't think it's a coincidence that I was given the tools on how to navigate cancer right before.
Right. And then not to mention just going through cancer in itself and then being a life coach already, I don't know, it almost elevates you in a way. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I had something crazy happen and I went through it. I walked through fire and I came out,
Yeah.
being dazzling, and come listen to me. If you have any questions, I want to help you out and raise you up too.
It amazes me. Life pushes you to where you need to go, and you might resist it. Like I was resisting life coaching people with cancer. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want to, because of my empathetic nature. I'm like, no, this is really not going to be, it's not going to be good for me. And it was interesting because as I started going through, okay, let me coach women that are going through this, or let me coach women. And life kept just saying, no, this is who you're supposed to coach because opportunities would open, doors would open for organizations that wanted me to go speak about cancer.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh gosh, all right, okay, fine. I will coach people that are going through a challenging disease. So I'm listening. I'm listening to whatever is I'm being called to do.
Yeah. And then you have your own company, your life coach company. What's it
I
called?
do. It's called Living Reality Dreams, life coaching. I founded the company before cancer. It is about living your reality. So, living reality dreams.
You've got this wonderful book. Now, are you going to be doing a second or future books, or is this going to be your book that you're going to, use as your pedestal to speak and do your coaching and just do revisions on it over the years?
I believe that this is just a stepping stone into what I am supposed to be doing, which is writing a book
Yeah,
about how to navigate cancer. Which, because I was going through the process while I was writing this book, I couldn't tell you because I hadn't gone through it. I hadn't been at the very end.
sure.
And now I know what it took. I know the tools that I use. I know how they work. I'm practicing them, and I don't mean practicing, but I'm teaching them for people to practice that I'm now coaching.
Yeah.
So I can actually get evidence of how well they work. And that is my next book.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm in the process of getting that underway. I have a skeleton, but I don't want to write it yet because I know I haven't gotten all the nuggets yet. Like when I was writing Living Your Intuitive Genius, people kept saying, are you done yet? Are you done yet? And I kept saying, no, no, no. But I knew when I was done, right? In this other book, I know what I want to write, but I don't want to get started. Well, I am started. I have
You are
started,
started. Yeah.
but I don't want to get so into it where I'm leaving something off. So I'm in that process of still discovering.
Yeah.
And so that's my next book.
Good.
And actually documenting how people can live through a journey in health in one sense can seem very scary and very difficult, but in another sense can also just elevate them to a different awareness and
Hmm.
be a spiritual journey. I actually call my cancer journey, one of the most spiritual journeys that I've had in life because of who I became in that time period.
Yeah, that speaks to your mindset. I can't say that I've heard many people say cancer was a spiritual, defeating cancer was a spiritual journey. So I've heard it was a battle, it was a war, it was, the worst thing I ever did, but a spiritual journey, I've never heard that for fighting cancer. That just adds more to you as a person, as a life coach, more reason to have people, come towards you and learn from you.
Right.
Yeah, and for your second book, I encourage you not to go on other people's timetables. Your
Mhm.
timetable is what matters because you're the
Exactly.
author, you're the one who's writing. This is your journey. You're the one who can say, yes, it is time to let it out into the world. With that said, don't hold on to it too long because people want to, use that to better themselves and elevate. So with your second book, you said for this one, for your first book, you had other people's stories also in there.
Yeah.
Well, same kind of thing for this book, for the second
Same
book.
kind of thing. So I'm noting down stories of people who have overcome and what the tools that they use, especially if they're the same tools that I've used. I'm asking permission from people, can I use your story? And also I'm documenting this so I can actually make it more personal. It's not just going to be a workbook of this is what you do, but
Yeah.
also have the ability to have people see, this work through other people. It really does work, and give those type of examples. Because with storytelling, I think that's a more powerful way
Hmm.
of demonstrating something that you want to get across.
Oh yeah. Well, and then also you're gonna have those negative people who just see like, oh, they get recommended a book and they're like, this isn't going to help me. This isn't going to help me. This isn't going to help me. And then when they finally, reach a point where they pick it up by happenstance and they start reading it, and you not only lay everything out, but you now have stories, not just from you, but from other folks who have experienced the same type of, I don't know, renaissance, if you will. Um, they're more likely going to join you on that journey and hopefully turn their, hellish year or 2 years, however their battle, how long their battle is, into a spiritual journey.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I think too. The stories stick with people.
Yes.
So,
Oh yeah.
um,
Yes. Learning anything, a lesson, life lesson. That's how we as humans have communicated forever. Yeah, facts are cool, but stories are what matter. I can tell a story from back when I was a young child to now because it was in that format. Now, I'm assuming that your family does support this, but what do they think about your career with as a writer?
my husband is my biggest cheerleader and supporter, and he battles my negative bad talk.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, spouses will do
Right.
that.
Yeah. And well, even though I wrote the manuscript for the book, it was written fairly quickly. It took me a while to publish it because the little voices in my head is, who in the world's going to want to read your book? What do you mean? No, people are going to know about you. They're not going to like you anymore. All these little, right? And he is the person that kept saying, you need to do this. You need to
Mhm.
do it. The people need to hear this. So he was the one that was basically keeping me in line to what my purpose is
Yeah,
and reminding me. If I could say co-authored the book, he co-authored the book in terms of nudging me into authorhood.
that's a good man right there. That's a good husband right there. Well, you gotta love supporters. You gotta love supporters. I mean, that is so hard. That negative self doubt. That doubt. Oh,
Mhm.
who's gonna read this? You know what? Really, I mean, it is for you in a sense too. Getting out there, it's an accomplishment for starters,
Mhm.
and it's a legacy. You put this to
Right.
print. You put this in a book format. It's there. When someone
Right.
gets a book, what do they do with it? Well, they either put it on their bookshelf or they read it or both or hand it off to somebody. They're not usually throwing books away. Your book is now a legacy of what you have learned, what you've gone through, and then this will be for your family and your family and all your children and children's children. They'll
Yeah,
be
it
watching.
outlives you. So that's the beauty of it. I'll
Yes.
continue living through it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Once you're gone and you've got family who are reading this, like, wow, she went through this, and I'm now learning from her without her
Mhm.
even physically being here. Her words are still here. But
Exactly.
it's a beautiful thing, and that's why I love doing love books in general, stories. You said it took you not very long to write. How long did it take you to write?
It was about 6 months. I
Pretty
landed
good.
with 90,000 words, so it was pretty consistent.
Yeah.
There was some times where I did take little breaks here and there, but it was, yeah, pretty consistent in the writing.
Good. That's great. And then it took you a little longer to publish. I mean, publishing can just take
Yeah.
time, and it was just because of the self-doubt talk, not because you hit any snags.
Yeah, not because I hit any snags.
That's
Once I
good.
got it to editing, it went fairly quickly. That
Hmm.
was a fairly quickly process. It was me that was putting the brake, even when I wasn't editing. It was the okay, I'm gonna go ahead and proofread this, and I was like, okay, I'll make time, and it would sit there, and then it was like, okay, let me get, and it was like stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. So had I not had that little voice in my head, it would have been done within, I would think, about maybe 10 months.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
about right. And now, did you edit out a lot of stuff from the book when you were going through that editing process?
So this is really funny because so when I write, it's very descriptive and very flowery and just it goes on and on for sentences. And so when my editor edited it, he actually cut out 9,000 words out of the book. Exactly. So the editing portion was like when I got back the manuscript, it was red with all of but then I'm reading it, I'm like, yeah, it's still me. The book is still me. So it's
Yes.
still, but it was because I tend to oversay, overdo, over um
That's
and
okay though. That's okay.
yeah,
I think I would rather overwrite and cut out than underwrite and have to like pull out, maybe nothing that you don't, words, empty
right,
words, I guess. So I'd rather you have more to cut than
right.
the other way around. I feel like it's a little easier.
Yeah.
So who was your editor, if you don't mind my asking?
Tyler Tischler?
Tischler?
Yeah.
He is a fabulous editor. He was mine as well.
Oh yeah. I
He's
love
very
him.
good. He gives a lot of good feedback and
Hmm.
it's unbiased, which is really great, especially with something you want to hear.
Yeah,
And he's
and he
he's
taught
very
me a
good.
lot. I would ask him questions about even not editing. It was questions just about different things about publication, and
Yeah.
he was always very good at just answering any questions I had. So I recommend him highly.
When you're writing, so you did a lot of journaling. Do you still do a lot of journaling now?
I do a lot of journaling. I use journaling as a sense of really connecting with spirit. It's one of the exercises actually that I put on in here because it really does allow you to just lose yourself
Hmm.
in the writing and find answers that are already within.
Right.
So sometimes I set an intention of, okay, this is what I would love to find out or a question,
Hmm.
and then just continue, write, set a clock for 20 minutes and write without really editing.
Oh, yeah.
And then once I'm done, there's times when I find the answer in the writing.
Yeah.
So it's a very spiritual process, I find it.
And so it sounds like it even energizes you.
It does. It
Good.
does. The writing of the book was amazing. That really gave me it while I was going through the cancer. I think writing it during that process actually gave me a lot of fuel for the illness that I was undergoing as well, against the illness, I should say, because I
Yes.
was very positive. One of the things that would often happen is, okay, I'm going to write this chapter on courage or higher awareness or whatever the chapter. And I knew what the chapter was about, and I knew what highlights I wanted in the chapter. But oftentimes I would get downloads as I'm typing, and then it was like I know one of the chapters just continued on for a long time where it was like, when is this chapter going to end? But it was because it's just spirit had a lot to say, and
Yes,
not
it is.
surprising, it was about forgiveness. That chapter was about forgiveness.
Oh,
So yeah, I would say that that's a big nugget to to work through, right? Forgiveness.
yeah.
Definitely I find answers in journaling, and the in the book I got a lot of downloads as I was writing.
Any good feedback from readers?
Readers are liking the stories. Oftentimes it's the stories that they give me feedback on. In terms of some of the people that I write about, I change their names and people find their names in there, so it's like they find themselves in the book. Um, so that's some of the feedback that I've gotten for friends and family. And other people are just, they can see how, if you are open to what life is telling you, doors can open,
Oh yeah.
and you can see where the miracles happen. You can see where the synchronicities are aligned with what you're supposed to do. Those are the things that really bring joy to me, that they are getting what I wrote down. They are experiencing the nuggets that I experienced in life.
So at the end of the day, what do you want people to get from your book? Just in a quick summary.
I would love for people to realize, and I know that there's a lot of us that already do, that there's a higher source, there's a higher spirit within us. And, it's your compass, it's your spiritual part of you that has all the answers, that has all of the answers to the questions. We're being led to experience certain things. So just pay attention to your life. Like I explained, in that if you look at the chronology of your life, see where life gave you a challenge and it was just a setup for a great opportunity that came along.
Yes.
And if you start looking at life that way, I think that we'd be a lot more curious as how life is evolving and less negative about the circumstances and conditions that we live through.
And speaking of opportunities, how can people get a hold of you to hire you as a life coach, and B, get a copy of this fabulous book now?
My website is Living Reality Dreams, or you can contact me with Edna at Living Reality Dreams. You can email me. In the book is my phone number, which you can get there. In the book, you can get anywhere books are sold. Okay. So you can go to Amazon, Barnes and Noble, your friendly bookstore in your neighborhood. And if you want an autographed copy, you can go to my website and I'll be happy to autograph one for you and send it off.
Excellent. I always encourage people to go buy the books from the authors themselves if you are so inclined, and the signed copy, you can't really get that anywhere else. Amazon won't do that for you. Barnes and Noble won't do that for you, but the author sure will.
Exactly.
Author sure will. Edna, this has been awesome. I've learned quite a bit about you and just, the spiritual journey you've gone through. I'm very impressed by you and all that you've accomplished. Congratulations. I'm so glad you have beat cancer and you came out of it a more positive spiritual person. That is a huge accomplishment. And really, thank you for coming, taking time out of your schedule to chat with me about your book.
I thank you. I thank you for the interview. It was so wonderful to be here and share my story and encourage others to look at the challenges as opportunities. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that, and all the work that you're doing. I just think it's fabulous as well. And all the authors that you have and the learning. And it's just, to me, it's, you're following your path, not only as an author, but also just a message that you're putting out in the world. So
well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, Edna, thank you so much. And everyone else, I hope you go snag a copy of Living Your Intuitive Genius. Hit her up, ask her questions, email her. She is a wealth of knowledge. Okay. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your day and keep on reading. Are you an author? Do you know someone who is? If so, then message me, Ryan Oliver, at ryanmoliver.com to set up a free appointment to discuss being showcased on the Mighty Books podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the Mighty Books YouTube channel and share the link to this and more episodes with your friends and family. Thanks for listening. So long for now. Stay mighty and keep reading.